My son's principal called me at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. She said it wasn't an emergency. She lied. When I walked into her office, there were two other adults already sitting there, a woman I didn't recognize and a man in a district polo shirt. The principal closed the door slowly and said, "We found something on the school cameras we need you to see." She turned a laptop toward me. I watched a 40-second clip. By the end of it, my hands were shaking. The footage was from the hallway outside the 8th grade lockers. My son Eli, 11 years old, was standing with his back against the wall. A girl was in front of him, close, too close, and she was holding his phone up so he couldn't reach it. Three other kids stood behind her watching. The clip had no audio, but I could see Eli's face. He wasn't angry. He was terrified. The principal said this had been reported by another student that morning. She said it wasn't the first time. I asked her to repeat that. She said it had been happening since October. It was March. I drove home and I sat in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes before I could go inside. I didn't know how to look at my son without falling apart. When he got home from school that afternoon, I asked him, as calmly as I could, if anything had been bothering him lately. He said no. He said school was fine. He looked me directly in the eyes and said it without hesitating. That night I found his second phone. I wasn't looking for it. It fell out from inside a folded hoodie when I moved his laundry. It was a cheap prepaid model, the kind you buy with cash. I sat on the edge of his bed and I opened it. There were hundreds of messages, group threads I didn't recognize, screenshots he had saved of things being said about him on accounts I had never seen. And then, buried at the bottom of one thread, a voice message. I pressed play. The voice was a girl's, young, casual, almost bored. She said, "Tell anyone and we post everything. You know what everything means." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went back to the school with the phone. I laid it on the principal's desk and I said, "You told me it wasn't an emergency." She looked at the screen and her face changed. The man from the district was called back in. They said they would need to involve the parents of the other students. They used words like process and protocol and timeline. I asked them how many adults had seen that camera footage before I did. 3, they said. I asked them why none of those 3 adults had called me the same day it was discovered. They didn't have an answer. What came next was worse than any of it. 2 days later, one of the mothers called me. Her daughter was one of the girls in the footage. She didn't call to apologize. She called to tell me that Eli had not been innocent in all of this, that her daughter had screenshots too, that my son had said things online that started the whole situation months ago. She read one message to me out loud. It was cruel. It was the kind of thing an angry child writes at midnight when they feel like no one is listening. It was also, unmistakably, my son's words. I went to him that evening and I put the message in front of him. He read it. He didn't deny it. He said, "I was so angry, Mom. They wouldn't stop and nobody was doing anything." I asked him why he never came to me. He looked at the floor and said, "Because you always say to just ignore it." And I tried. For months, I tried. The school has opened a formal investigation into both sides. The district wants statements. The other mother is talking about lawyers. My brother says I need to protect Eli at all costs. That what those girls did was worse, that context matters. My sister says if Eli sent that message, I can't just pretend he didn't. I know they are both right. I also know they are both wrong. My son spent 5 months drowning 6 feet from me and I never once noticed the water. I don't know how to forgive myself for that. I don't know if I'm supposed to.